Video will be reviewing the functionality of the RxNT V2 scheduler. The screen that we see here is called the application dashboard. It can be accessed by selecting the RxNT logo in the center of your screen. From here, you're able to view appointments in a timeline outline. Beneath that, you can search for an existing patient as well as review any alerts. The menu bar located at the top of your screen allows you to access patients, inputting new patients or searching for existing, making appointments, reviewing the availability calendar, appointment reports, and patient ledger reports. The same options can be selected by clicking on the word menu in the top left-hand corner. On a side note, it is understood that if you are starting to use the left side, the functionality side of the scheduler, that you've already completed the setup, which was done under Utilities. Also, a reminder, please use Chrome when using the V2 scheduler. Now again, to review, on the left, we see the menu with looking up existing patients or inputting new, making appointments, the availability calendar. This link would take you directly to the PM application if you're using our practice management. Beneath that is a patient ledger, which is only accessible for our practice management users. And beneath that, appointment reports. So coming first to patients, from here we can search for existing patients by last name, first name, date of birth, claim number, chart number, zip, and preferred phone number. As well as looking over to the top right-hand corner, we can input a new patient. So coming over, I'm going to go ahead and search for an existing patient. I can either do a partial or full search of the patient's name. From the left, I'm able to click on the link for that patient, which will then pull up their demographics. From here, we're able to see the patient dashboard. For the patient dashboard, we have our patient demographics listed under the profile. We have our new cases, which would be the input of insurance, subscribers, and any notes that have been inputted for this patient. Over on our right, we can view any patient visits. The past patient visits will be in gray, any new ones would be listed in green, and future would be in blue. So looking first at profile, you're able then to view the demographics that have been inputted for the patient. Also along the top to the right, you can view those patient visits again. History will allow you to see when that patient's profile has been edited and when, as well as going back to that original version. When seeing notes jiggling around here in red, it lets us know that an alert has been set and you need to review the notes. Selecting notes, we can then go in and see the notes that have been set, as well as where those alerts are going to show. Next, we have site settings, which if you had set up under site setting configuration under utilities, you would be able to access your customized site settings for the patient demographics. So from here under the ones I have set, I have education level and if the patient is literate and the distance from the practice. Again, these are completely optional and can be created under utilities under site setting configuration. Save and cancel. This is all viewed under an existing patient's dashboard. Here we see new cases. It's in red, letting us know that insurance still needs to be added for the patient, subscribers with regards to the insurance, and again the notes as we saw a moment ago. Coming back over to our left with menu, this we were just reviewing patients where we can input a new patient or review an existing patient. Next we have appointments. When selecting appointments, we can then see the various offices, and if we look up top, the doctor group would indicate if you had more than one office, you would be able to view those offices separately. If you only have one office, you only have one doctor group. The resource type lets you view by person resource or material resources. Color scheme is either the appointment template type or by resource. Coming over to the left, I'm going to click on the white arrow to expand my calendar. From here up top, I have a view of the month. If I clicked on November, I could then go throughout the year. Clicking on the arrow to the right would let me go forward into 2016 and beyond, and left would go back. Beneath that, we can go backwards and forwards by weeks and months. We can also view the person resources, the material resources, and appointment template types. Coming up here, we have our day. We can view it in a timeline as well, or day, week, and month view. So coming back to the day view, I can also see that I've set on my availability calendar that I'm not available from 12 to 12:30 for a drug rep visit. And beneath that, another provider is also not available for lunch during this time. These are showing up because we set it under utilities for the availability calendar to come through on the appointment calendar. If you prefer to keep them separate, you can do that under utilities under group preferences. So to make an appointment, we'll come down and select the time for the appointment, clicking on that time. It will then pull up the ability to search for an existing patient. If it's a new patient, you'll click on the green plus sign here to the right. So I'll then type in my existing patient's last name and a partial search of the first name or full search, selecting the magnifying glass. And from here, if we look on the left, the person icon would allow you to review the demographics. If there was a chart number, it would be listed, and our patient name. So to select our patient, you can either click under the chart number column or under patient, and then come to OK. This will then populate your appointment with the patient information. We'd select the provider the patient will be seeing, the group. So if you only have the one office, it'll just be the one doctor group. If there's multiple offices, you would then select the doctor group or office where the patient would be seeing the provider. Beneath that, we have the start time, the duration, the end time. If the patient had insurance, it would pull here. To our right, we're able to see the appointment template types. The default is new problem visit. Beneath that, the default for our appointment status type is pending. And then our appointment series type is single. We can, of course, adjust to repeating or group. We can also adjust the appointment status type. And we can adjust by our appointment template type. Beneath that, to our left, we have our person resources. So if you're adding on an additional person to this appointment, it can be done by clicking on the green plus sign, as well as a material resource. We can add in notes for the appointment, and then when you're finished, be sure to click on Save. This will then place that appointment on our schedule. So of course, we're just going to come up and look for all doctor groups. And now we see our pending appointment. Now I have the pop-up for the day view set, so when I come and place my cursor on the day view, the pop-up will let me see the patient information as well as any patient notes that have been inputted for this patient. When I'm ready to check in the patient, you'll click on the appointment. This will then bring you to the appointment detail card. On our left, you can view the demographics, the insurance, real-time eligibility. Payments can be made and collected. You can call a patient to a specific room as well as checkout. Looking over to our right, we can check in a patient. If needed, we can reschedule a patient. We can print our appointment card, view any appointment notes, save and close. So if we needed to adjust the appointment, or perhaps if the patient needed to reschedule. If the patient needs to reschedule, you will not change it by appointment status type, but rather come to reschedule, putting in the reason for why they needed to reschedule. Adding in the note, then closing. Sorry about that. Adding in the alert, then close. And then you would pick the day that you want to reschedule for. And when we go, we'll pick on that date, and you'll note, we'll click Save now, it will now keep the original appointment on our calendar. It will show as rescheduled, but you don't have to worry that time slot is available again. It just keeps it there for the history. And of course, if we went forward to the date we rescheduled for, it would be there placed as pending. Now let's go back in and go through the process of checking in a patient versus rescheduling. So again, I click on the time for my appointment that I want to make. Then I'm going to go ahead and look up my patient. Full or partial search or inputting a new patient with the green plus sign, clicking on the magnifying glass, clicking in the patient's chart or patient, clicking OK. It then populates and we can again select the primary person they'll be seeing. If needed, we can change the time, the appointment type, the status, or if it's a repeating single or group appointment. We're going to make the appointment by clicking on Save. And then from here beneath, we see again we have a new appointment. So clicking on that appointment, we can then again review the demographics, the cases, real-time eligibility, make a payment, call them back to a specific room, and check out. This time we're going to click on check-in. When you click on check-in, it will allow you then to release this patient over into the RxNT EHR. So whereas before, if you used our old scheduler, you would click on the appointment and then click on open, now you'll go to patient queue in your top left under menu, clicking on chart, which will take you directly to the patient. We've now checked in our patient. We can come and collect a payment now or after. We can then also print a receipt and payment history. So if I were to make a payment here, collecting it before the appointment, then selecting accept, it's saved, and we can print a receipt as well as review the payment history. As I had mentioned earlier with call-in, if you wanted to assign them to a specific room, and then at the end of the appointment, you're able to check them out. And from here, if you've utilized our RxNT default template, you'll be able to view the checkout notes and print them, as well as if the clinical summary has been released, you'll be able to print that from here as well. And then we can select complete checkout. You do not have to check out the patient, but you do need to check the patient in. So that again was reviewing how to make an appointment as well as rescheduling an appointment. Now coming back over to the left under menu, the availability calendar. Now the reasons for why someone may be available or not available would need to be set up under utilities. If you're going to place that reason for why the person is not available, that's when you would come to your availability calendar. So from here we could select the doctor group. We could also then, and of course if you only have the one office, you'll just have that main office listed. We can then pick the individual that we wanted to set the reason why someone was available or not available. You can also, just clicking on the time, you can then select person or material resource, clicking on select. You'll then have the option of selecting the resource. We had chosen person resource, so I'll select the provider, the reason why they may or may not be available. So perhaps it is a holiday. They're not available if it's single, repeating, or group. To our left again is the office, the start time and the end time, and then clicking on save. Now this will put this reason for why this provider is not available on the availability calendar, as well as it's going to show through on your appointment calendar. You do not have to use the availability calendar. If you don't want to set when someone's out for lunch, or if you don't want to set a holiday, you do not have to. So don't feel obligated to use this. As we can see, it has it listed now. I have a drug rep visit, and I also have earlier in the day, I have a very short holiday. And these will show up on my appointment calendar. This was done through the availability calendar. Coming back over to the left under menu, we can also, if we're participating with using the PM application, we can go directly to that link. We have our patient ledger reports, which again are only accessible for the practices that are using our practice management. It is the same patient ledger report that they would find in the practice management. And last, coming back over to menu, selecting appointment reports. From here, you're able to generate appointment reports based on the different search criteria. We can also then export it to a file so that it can be printed. This was all found under the functionality side of the RxNT V2 scheduler. If you have any questions or require additional training, please do not hesitate to call RxNT support at 800-943-7968 option 4, or for additional trainings, Stephanie Whiteley at 410-670-7175.